Okay, so I'm just going to introduce myself. Let's see, and we have established we're recording it. I was born in Clearwater, Florida. Well, I'll ask all about where you're from in a minute. 1966. I have 3 kids. My first one's pretty high tech. He could have been one's a UCF student, biology. And then the third one is I'm still homeschooling, but she's hopefully going to graduate soon and be a paramedic. So I graduated in '88 with a ecology degree. So that's why I called it So Nature, because I love both things, sewing and nature. And then I have a master's from UF in environmental science. Before I retired, and this is my more or less hobby business, I just love doing it. So I did quite a consulting, owned a business. So I just started this in 2020. This is actually just the third Zoom class, something like that. So, all right, here's a little bit of my sewing background. Learned to sew at 8, made quilts when I was pregnant with my second son in 1996. And I mainly just made quilts for my kids when they're little and then as they grow up. And then more recently, I read this book, and it's really good, by Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. I don't know if you've read Eat, Play, Pray, Love or any of our other stuff, but this one was really good. And it inspired me to get back to quilting and sewing. So I bought an embroidering machine and, got me going again, really got into it. And so now I'm inspired to teach photo transfer, embroidery, photo applique, and about nature. And I've decided to, at least for the next year or two, concentrate on pollinators, butterflies, etc. So you'll learn a little bit about that today. So let's get started. I started with doing some experiments last summer. So I wanted to test the best method. And so here's my blog. I think all of you are subscribers. So down here is, I started an experiment with comparing. I didn't use everything. And where I say commercial, I found out later that's actually jacquard, and you can buy it on Amazon. So compared some things, June Taylor, you can buy at Joann. So I had some of that, and EQ, somebody told me it was really good. So I had some of that. So I just compared to the different ones, treated some with bubble jet. So I did a little experiment, being a scientist, trying to get all my variables and trying to keep everything the same. And it was a little hard because some of them, called to treat them differently. So I was like, well, I'm just going to rinse them all with water because, the minimum, even if the wall hanging, someday you might want to rinse it with water if it's dusty or something. So what I found was that EQ really was the best. So let me show you. This is on my blog if you ever want to refer to it quickly, but I will show you over here on this one. Okay, so let's see, where am I? I'm screen sharing. So let me stop screen sharing for a minute and highlight this one. Pin video. There. What I found is I really like the EQ the best. It's really clear, vibrant colors. So that was the best. Now it is $3 a sheet, which if you're going to make a nice quilt or something for a while, it's well worth it. It's all right. So here's EQ cotton, 200 thread. They have different versions, but
so it's a fabric.
Yeah, these are this is the EQ. I just made little strips of each one. So let's see. Let's just spotlight at you. Okay. Okay. Hard. You can also get this on too. And what I like about the jacquard is it turns out okay, and it's only $1 a sheet. So if you just want to play around, the jacquard's great. But I wouldn't put it in a quilt that, you know, you're going to wash or put a lot of time into. So then the Bubble Jet Beachy is next in line. Theirs turned out pretty good. Probably pretty similar to the jacquard. And then, let me see. So, and then June Taylor, I was just not impressed. Now, this was not meant to be washed or anything, but it turned out very similar to just untreated. So, you know, I'm not sure what they're doing to it. But this wasn't the colored one, but I'll show you. I used theirs with the Color Fast ones, and it still didn't turn out great. So the good thing about Bubble Jet treatment is you can do it on different fabrics. So this is organic muslin that I did it on. So you can pick your own fabric. And if you make a whole bunch of it at a time, it's about $1. I think I figured $1.30 a sheet, depending on how much you paid for your fabric and all that. But I want to warn you here. Do you see these spots here?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So don't rinse, you know, and some of these you have to rinse it. Don't rinse with another sheet. One sheet at a time. Rinse it one at a time when you're rinsing. Because otherwise you can get these little spots here.
Okay. Comparing the different fabrics.
All right. Let me unpin that and share screen again.
So was that yardage fabric that you were showing us that you had eventually cut up into those sizes, or was that off of a sheet?
That was like the
sheet.
Yeah, for the EQ, that was just off of a EQ sheet. I just cut them in thirds because I was doing an experiment on when I don't want to use a lot of them. So, and then the the Bubble Jet was my own fabric that I used.
Okay.
So the sheets were actually from a, you know, a package. How do I have this up here twice? All right. Wow. So do you see this, the tips for turning fabric photo now? Is that one highlighted?
Yep.
Good. Okay.
Yep.
So if you have photo elements, that's what I use. I really like it. Before you know, print it, it's nice to really edit them and make them look really bright and like a lot of contrast, etc. And then as far as printers,
How expensive is that?
I think it's about $100. But you just
Okay.
buy it once, the elements. You can buy Photoshop like the regular, it's like $10 a month or something, but this is just, you buy it and you're done. And most of these things are on my web page too, that click to Amazon. So if you want to look at it more, you can. Let's see. So as far as the printers, Epson makes pretty good ones for printing on fabric if you don't already have a printer. And the one I have is called Epson EcoTank, and it prints on fabric pretty well. The paper stuff is not as well good, but it's very low cost in ink, so that's why I like it.
When we do this, does it take a lot of ink?
Well, as much as any printing any picture would do. So printing big pictures does, so that's why I like the Epson EcoTank, because I have yet to have to put any new ink in it. It just came with all these bottles, and I've, you know, printed probably a few hundred pictures and it's still going. So
Okay.
and then you want something that the fabric goes through one end and doesn't go around in a U, and I'll show you later my picture, my printer that does that. I read a bunch about this. They used to say pigment was better than dye base, but now they're both pretty good. And the bubble jet is if you want to use your own fabric. So, and each printer setup is different. Mine, I always do it, set it on quality to print it, but some printers you want to just put it on standard printing. Okay. So, and if you get those lines, have you ever printed something and you get lines on your photos?
Yes.
Yeah, so I've discovered you try cleaning the print head. On most printers, there's something that says there's a maintenance and you can clean your print heads. So this is the chart. Uh-oh, previous. Trying to move this. So this was in your tip sheet. This is the chart. It's in the tip sheet.
Mhm.
And if yours is not up to date, I keep updating it. So just let me know, email me, and I'll send you the newest one. But so I figured out how much each sheet was, and the EQ printables, the ones that I like the best, it's about $3 a sheet. Jacquard, the one I like to use just to play around with. If you get 30 sheets, it's only $1. And that way, it's all made and everything. It's just easy. And then Bubble Jet to make your own, I figured it was about $1.60 if you made 25 sheets. But it does take some time. But the advantage is if you already have the fabric you want to use, like muslin. And the ink tents, I think somebody was saying muslin was working better. So with this Bubble Jet, you can use your own muslin fabric. Untreated fabric, you're not going to get great results, but you know, it's cheap, especially if you're going to wash it. Let me see. And then the June Taylor, I didn't like either of them. And even the one that says the Color Fast, it's actually more expensive than the EQ printables, and it's just not as good. So definitely go with the EQ from my experience. Okay, so I'm going to go into, let's show you a little bit. This is what happened after I washed. This was EQ, June Taylor. And it was supposed to be Color Fast, and I washed it once, and I washed it on, you know, the hand wash setting, and I just used quilt soap. And look, see how it looks? It's not vibrant, it doesn't look good. And then it had dye all over. We were not happy. This is my daughter and one of my sons. I made her a whole quilt with this, and so then I just washed it one time and it turned to this. So I was not happy, and it made a little more noise too.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Did you ever use a color grabber sheet with these when you washed them?
What?
A color grabber sheet.
A color grabber?
Yeah, for sheet that bleed color.
I don't know. I'm not hearing you too good. Color grabber.
Color grabber.
No,
It's
I never used that.
It's a sheet you put in the wash machine.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't tried that. That might be a good idea. So that
should keep it from bleeding.
yeah, okay. That's a good idea. Color grabber, to remember that. So then this is the second quilt I made. This is my son and I went to Yellowstone, and I used EQ Lawn, which is a little more expensive, I think, but I wanted it to make sure it was soft and nice. So, and I think it turned out a lot nicer. The colors,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, the pictures are very vibrant. The colors are very vibrant.
Very nice.
Yeah, and so this one I had left over. I didn't use it in his quilt because